This is DK King of Swing, a 2005 title for the Game Boy Advance. Donkey Kong and friends once again take on a plethora of platforming challenges, but with a literal twist. Movement is almost entirely done by swinging on posts. Clever use of these posts allow for increased momentum and airtime, letting you collect bananas and get to the goal with style. Would you consider this a DK game? From one standpoint, it undoubtedly is. You can play as a healthy amount of the Kong family, including Wrinkly for the first time in series history. The antagonists are King K. Rool and his army of Kremlings, their first appearance in a non-remade game in 6 years. But in terms of gameplay, it's a far cry from what one would imagine when they think about a Donkey Kong title. Even the game seems aware of this, with Bubbles from Clu Clu Land being a secret character who feels like a more appropriate choice. A follow-up question: is DK King of Swing more of a DK game than, say, Donkey Kong Country Returns? There are a lot fewer Kongs and a lot fewer Kremlings in Retro's release, but everything else is more of a return to form. Stages are designed with precise platforming challenges that reward caution on an initial playthrough and confidence each time after, and the atmosphere makes you feel like you're exploring a living, breathing environment. For my money, that's what a DK game captures rather than just the cast of characters. If the latter was what decided the quality of a Donkey Kong title, games like Donkey Konga 2 and Barrel Blast would be considered among the highlights of the franchise. As you start veering away from these core facets of the series, players seem to agree that these become less DK games and more games with DK in them. So why then does Donkey Kong Bananza seem to be the exception to the rule? As reviews will gladly tell you, Donkey Kong Bananza is a successor to Super Mario Odyssey in all but name. You play as a cartoon character with a cute little sidekick who rides around on top of you, tasked with exploring a set of biomes and finding collectibles on your way to your next destination. Throughout your journey, you'll gain fantastic new powers that have the caveat of taking away some of the freedom of expression that comes from your normal form. All of this is wrapped in a colorful package filled with nostalgic imagery, and an ease in difficulty to encourage its younger audience to keep playing. As a result, the traits that made the Donkey Kong series what it is have been sidelined. Gameplay is less a matter of patience and precision than one of forcing the world to fit your needs. The landscapes you can explore are now designed to be torn up and thrown away, making each area feel purely like it was designed to be in a video game. Sure, there are plenty of returning characters and familiar songs to be found, but the same can be said about King of Swing. If someone wanted a follow-up to Super Mario Odyssey with a new primary mechanic, that's exactly what's provided. If someone wanted a new Donkey Kong game, it's harder to say whether they got their wish. You might play as the Big Ape, but gone is almost everything that defined a winning formula that had been all but perfected over the span of 2 decades. In its place is a title where comparisons have been drawn to everything but DK. A game that should call to mind the likes of Star Fox Adventures Dinosaur Planet or Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. A game with a coat of paint, covering something with a very different identity. I have no qualms with the quality of Donkey Kong Bananza as a product in and of itself. To reiterate, my frustration is solely aimed at this being seen as a return to form for the series. As an example, I would not have been upset in the slightest had this been a Wario game. Everything makes so much more sense if you put Wario in Donkey Kong's place. DK doesn't have a history of chasing after treasure. Wario does. DK doesn't have a history of single-handedly destroying the world around him. Wario does. DK doesn't have a history of transforming into new versions of himself. Wario does. I understand why DK was chosen. He was a major character in an extremely successful movie to the point that a spin-off is in the works. He's getting the next branch of the Super Nintendo World theme park, and he's a more approachable character than the anti-heroic Wario. But the fact remains that Donkey Kong Bananza doesn't feel like a Donkey Kong game. It feels like a Wario game, or like Super Mario Odyssey, or like The Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction, or like SteamWorld Dig. Everything but Donkey Kong. If my desire for a new Donkey Kong game is me being hungry for a sandwich, Donkey Kong Bananza is a hamburger. There's nothing inherently wrong with a hamburger. It fills you up and gets you through the day. People keep saying this is one of the best hamburgers they've ever eaten. But if I want a sandwich, a hamburger isn't going to satisfy me. It has a different texture, different ingredients, and meets a different need. It's a sandwich by definition, but not what I'd want to see if I ordered one. Add on to that this hamburger is $70 USD, and that getting into the restaurant at all costs another $450, and it's fair to say I won't be ordering it. Maybe I'm the only one who wanted a sandwich. Maybe there was never going to be anything but hamburgers on the menu to begin with. The fact remains that I'm still hungry, and my 11-year wait for a sandwich that isn't reheated leftovers continues.